democracy, democracy, radio democracy, democracy. You know what time it is?
Youth man, wasting time. Youth man, wasting time. If we learn for ask questions.
You know what time it is?
Youth man, wasting time. Youth man, wasting time. If we learn for ask questions. For things them where they happen now in sweet nation. You name the resources. Waiting then don't benefit this nation. From independence to 50 years of celebration. Where they make you man and they think I'm say something for them better. Still they under British colonization.
Welcome to From the Society for Radio Democracy 1921 FM. This program will come to you every Wednesday from 8 to 9 p.m. And it's a edition of the program for some time. We did talk with the Commissioner General of the National Revenue Authority. We talk about the tax review, we talk about the implementation of the Finance Act, and we talk about how far the country in the revenue collection for 2026 and how the NRA don't meet the target or not for 2026 inside the first 6 months of the year. For Secretary for welcome, Madam General Barbara. Good evening and welcome to the program at this time.
Good evening, glad to be here this evening. Yes. You know, singing at night. It's like very good news. Glad to be here this evening.
Good news day?
Yes, good news. Always in the
What's that?
I hope you have so we don't know the first half of the year. We don't get to start senior management retreats. We get a lot of reforms really go on. And another for reports say we 92% of the target for the first year we meet. And so there's a lot of
92% for targets for the first half of the year. Generally, so we will see the level from within the NRA targets for 2026. Generally, we can do it for 6 months and within another one.
So we begin in the year targeted with the Ministry of Finance to be for 2026, 22.14 billion euros. And I will just want to set the context, whereby the target will be for 2026 is 23% higher than 2025. So every year they give you more based on what is happening in the Finance Act we will talk about later. So we start the year with that, and then of course we measure we set on a quarterly basis. For the first 3 months of the year, we get a lot really happening, and then we get the second quarter of the year, get a lot happening. So with the target that the government is set, there's a whole lot of thinking when they go into it, and I'll talk about that later. But the target for 2026 is 2.14 billion.
Is it 23% implementing the target from 2025?
Yes.
Would that indicate why it implements?
Well, you mentioned the Finance Act. So when the year can begin, the government in the Ministry of Finance, whereby we identify different measures. So like for example, in 2026 Finance Act, we don't put to measure beside the stamp all these things that we put stamp events today. We also stamp oil, vegetable oil. We almost say we get manufacturer when we manufacture oil, vegetable oil and salad. So what we want to do is any manufacturer when we produce items that are content, we want to safeguard them. So we stamp all vegetable oils then when they come into the country. And then also agriculture. We know say we get the feed salad, and the government they give a lot of agricultural concession. But we don't realize say some people they can bring the agricultural product and they sell it. So we mark them for make sure say we discourage people from abusing that regime. We also get other measures that we don't put in place, and it is because of those measures the government they factor in the increase for the revenue. So every year we bring in new measures in, because we don't want to increase tax, right? Everybody needs to increase tax. No, we don't increase tax, so we put other measures in place. so we will collect more money. So that's what is responsible for the increase.
We can look at provisions within the Finance Act. Some of the public concern way in the past acts when they will be raised. But earlier you talk about the targets for the year, and we don't know the first 6 months, into the 7th months now. How the revenue collection target is in the first 6 months in terms of achieving the first half of the year targets?
So for the first 6 months of the year, we started the year very rough. January was very challenging. And for me, not only for revenue mobilization, but in the revenue environment. If you notice, when January began, the ACC public say they don't see beaucoup money in Nairobi. Then it takes me off from targets a little bit.
We can look at that concerning because the ACC don't report on that. We get for look at that.
I hope someone don't see the report.
Yes, we get for look at that and therefore discuss in this paper.
Excellent. So when we begin the year, then take me off course a little bit, because when you begin the year, you're all pumped up, you don't put your measures, you don't put your strategy in place. Then you just wake one morning, the news say, hey, and I'm active money, they don't see this much. So it will take me off the schedule a little bit, but then we're able to regroup, re-strategize, and then with the implementation of the Finance Act, the measures in the Finance Act, we're able to regain the momentum, and as a result, I am very pleased. The target for the first half of the year are about 11.2 billion. And we meet 92% of that, which for me is a lot of work that went into that. And I'm glad that we were able to do as much as we did.
Putting that in figure now, what's that represent the 92%?
So I want to put them in dollars, right? The 11.14%. 11.12 billion is about $445 million, which is a whole lot. For me, at the equator, it's like almost $500 million. Imagine in the first half of the year, 6 months, we able to bring that much from the current economy that we have, with all the struggle with the economy they go through. We complain about the Finance Act, we know what's happening with the fuel market around the world, and then so many other things, and we just get it into the reins. We're able to bring close to $500 million into the revenue coffers. That is a lot. A lot of our development partners, we won't know what's in the island. They're not going to do that much in a 6 months period. So there's a lot that we are doing to make sure that we bring in money to support the government.
You talk about 92% revenue target reached for the first 6 months. That like 8.7% missed out, if I can get the calculation right.
80% missed that, yeah.
80% missed. What are the factors responsible for that?
Well, before I go to the factors responsible for that, even when we school, we get 92%. That is pure harm, right? But it could be that we over-projected, possibly, because when the year begins, you go sit down. Our budget is a budget, right? We didn't work for surpass the budget. But it's likely that we were ambitious, but we're not able to meet the target, but maybe we'll meet them in the second half. And one of the things that I can tell you for sure.
They carry the leftover to the
definitely, for that with the projection, they will surpass. We all know what's in the happen at the key. We know there's a lot of congestion coming on there. And with the congestion, we see them as revenue delayed. So if that congestion not really happen, maybe if we don't surpass, we target. But if other things were not happening in the economy, maybe if we don't surpass. Well, I'm not going to sit on my hand now and tell you, say, it's this and this and this and this we are responsible without really looking at the data definitively. But hopefully by the end of the year, we'll pull everything together and then we will come back to and tell what could have been responsible.
But what could have been responsible? We don't begin to highlight some of the things then. We talk about penetration and pause and now the topic will be for completely inside and we should carry forward and force. And now we look at the Finance Act, putting it together, and when they put them together, concerns then be about the tax on cement, wells, and also solar products. Now we look at all of these things together, how they don't help for people to reach 7 a day in terms of revenue collection. We see we get about 92%. How they additional things there are helpful.
So the solar way you mentioned, it was a good thing. We're not getting any revenue because that concession. It's there for encourage, the government is there for encourage people to bring in solar, right? So really, there was no revenue there. If anything, we take the revenue from and the solar. For REST also, not to anything new. Remember in 2025, the additional 5% per the REST with the FARA. So if it only 5% in 2024, and then up 10% in 2025, but we delayed that day. So we're gonna come 10% in 2026. So again, this was a delayed implementation of our revenue. I mean, of our tax policy. That may help in the mobilization. The cement, we have not fully implemented it. If you follow me at the news, you know, for the cement, once the law go into effect, we get for design the stamp where they go on the cement. So we have not fully implemented on the cement, on the rice, or the oil. You want to come back?
If you say we are not fully implement, what do you mean?
What I mean is, you know, so fully implement means we don't sensitize the taxpayers. And I tell you this because when you look at what's happened in the first half of the year, we don't sensitize the taxpayers then. We don't sit down with the service provider for design of the stamp. And I can tell you for free that the implementation of the stamp stem on the cement began last week. But I'm sending a video of the shipment week and when they begin to split. Because when the Finance Act is implemented, it takes time to prepare. There's things that you have to do to get it implemented. So for example, in the Finance Act, when we get the circulation levy on vehicles then and on boats then, we have not implemented that because we have not configured the systems then to get that implemented. However, we don't fully implement the FEAR, the 5 units under FEAR. We have done that because we don't able to configure ASICUDA. So now for that, they say maybe the shortage in the revenue, that 8% plus more, could be because we have not fully implemented. And now for that, you say if we wait towards the end of the year, we are hoping that by then we would have fully implemented all of these measures. You see how the revenue
a key on this way you say we are not fully implemented or we are not fully implemented it. The rest 2024 they put 5% and 25% for or 5% for starting 2025, but Parliament being deferred to 2026. We did into the 7 months. For we are not beginning collecting 5%.
We don't. So when it comes to the implementation of revenue measures, the systems and where we get full control over, like ASICUDA now we own system, we get access to the source code. So whenever there is a measure, we do it immediately from our system. Unlike the other systems that it can take a while. For the rest, when they talk about 10%, now 10% we collect right now. Fear and 5 years because now we own system in that. We don't fully implement it, then measure it. But the other measures we'll get for work partners like the cement and the fertilizer and the vegetable oil, we have not fully implemented.
The 5% Paris, when the president announced the feed saloon, they say this 5% they go into a special account. We will invest in agriculture for support the feed saloon. And now the NRM collect 10%, we don't start in 2026. But the answer we not only get, now how much money government don't collect from this is 5% plus we are not only 10%. How much we don't collect to that more steps?
Just from the top of my head, and I will come back to you with an actual figure. From the last time when we checked the figure, the data of the 10%, now about 7 million. But I will come back to you. 7 million loans.
7 million loans.
7 million loans.
That's 7 billion.
Old loans.
Old loans.
Yeah, if you want.
That's for the 2026?
2026, from maybe January to May. But I will have to come back to you. Okay, definitely.
What about the other years? They don't have the 5%.
That also will come to you with that information, you know, because we do keep it in a special account, which is what is partly supporting the fees.
This one is actually the special account, as you mentioned, but we more like that. Government at certain points will remove this money and pay contractors for the project. How to use that?
So you know, say we job for project. We're not in the Ministry of Finance. The Ministry of Finance will be considered person.
So you're not going to monitor the money in the collect.
Well, for me, once I collect and put inside consolidated fund, another is
you said yeah.
no, I'm not listen to.
Okay. Now to the cement. Already cement not there. No. Have been 260,000. Almost percent. And the collective and how that tax impacts the lives.
So I will tell you for free that the excise stamp rate of government. If we then look at price increases, and citizens that can always make or get this misunderstanding for say the price they go up because taxes they don't go up. And I think me and you don't talk about this. Whereby not to tax no more, they make prices go up. We they forget say if certain cement then buy the cost freight, the insurance. And we don't forget say there is still a war going on in Iran. Few weeks ago we already say they don't get peace, right? They don't open the what's they call of the news, they don't open them. But we don't hear you again, they don't look. So all of what's in happen in other people's economies, they impact real sure. So for me, the idea that not tax in rate prices that they go up, I'm not going to sit down and say not to do. But there are so many other factors we will not take into consideration when it comes to prices. Cement, what they try for, the government, they push for make sure say we get manufacturing. There's a lot of manufacturers that we don't get into the cement business. It is the government's hope that once we begin manufacturing, the benefits could be a decrease in price, employment, and many other benefits then. So the stamping of cement is to discourage importation of cement. Mm-hmm. So for me, I don't know why, and the stamper with the stamp, I not yet get the data for proof saying that that don't make the prices. So we'll have to look at other factors then. And I think the Ministry of Trade will help a little bit in that area, but it's not taxes only. Taxes is just a minimal factor into the whole price.
Some companies, they don't have database with imports.
We get two major importers then, as far as I know, about two major importers, but even those two importers that they try for now get the manufacturing facilities that I have, so we can
and that's two importers against one producer we use
Leonson 9 and the only current company where they solely produce but instead they bring some the raw materials,
which means plenty of the cement being population depend on like importing.
Yes, and for that way it's actually encourage manufacturing.
In terms of that, we impact the price.
Well, no, not really. If we're not really enough impact on it, because there is, as I said, not only the excise, right? And excise we just implemented, and as I said, we have not even fully implemented it. So maybe we have business people, as they say something new they come, and they take advantage of that new policy where they know say they get for come. So maybe once we fully implement the excise stamp, the price will remain. I expect the price to remain the same.
Okay, I did a report recently. You judge side with congestion reports. I talked to business people, like the importers. I talked to the drivers. I talked to people owners. I talked to Chamber of Commerce. And I quote the one council member at Chamber of Commerce who made in a chat. According to the ports get impacts on price and salary. You self-mentioned that could be, though you promise, say, for put the figures in together or put the data together at the end of the year, putting as moving things that will impact tax collection. But you point to that it could be one of the reasons, one of the issues with impact tax collection. Maybe you are also personal target. system. How people really impact the revenue collection.
So, Sierra Leone, the port is very important because we not get that many manufacturing. So just to talk about this, I forget and then we get beverages. Unlike other countries, there's a lot of manufacturing, vehicles, they manufacture textile and things like that. So, but we was very important because the majority of the things that we market are through the ports. And importation, we do a lot of importation. So anything where it impacts the port, it definitely impacts businesses. The congestion is an open secret. I mean, I don't listen to the program, I don't listen to other programs, then we cite different stakeholders that they can complain about the port congestion. But what Timmy will tell you is being a part of the port ecosystem. One thing what we don't do, we don't develop an SOP, a standard operating procedure, which is a document which is supposed to help you all, make sure that all stakeholders carry the new weight, so to speak, to make sure that they do their part so things get clear. I not say there's a 24-hour shift. Me not say for customs. I don't know for other stakeholders, but I know for we at the customs department, we get a 24-hour shift, where endorsed by the board of directors, and then also endorsed and approved by the Ministry of Finance, whereby essential units are supposed to work 24 hours. Now, but for men who work 24 hours, there are challenges within a real environment. Like for example, the banks. We cannot have the banks working 24 hours. So what do they do? All the documents and where they don't process, payments and documents processed during the week, during the day, before 3 o'clock with the bank they lock. We can work on that to make sure, say, the containers then come out. And then the other thing where you may have heard, where the governments don't do, we hopefully will make decongest in the near future, is the implementation or the approval of the national single window, right? And this national single window, if all goes well, is supposed to help streamline the processes and that. But until we get to that, we will continue doing things manually, whereby the systems are working in a silo. As good as they talk to ports their system, as good as they talk to AGL, Borori, then system, and so on. So the single window they come in for make sure, say, everybody is now operating on one platform where will help streamline the processes and the way to do things out there.
That's section 35 of the Finance Act 2026. We talk about the single window. And according to that section, the single window for start operation in April 2026. And
no, you know, they say the contract was signed. Yeah, what did it say is government should ensure that an agreement is signed and we will meet that deadline. The government will meet that deadline. But with all else equal,
of April 30th.
April of this year.
Yes. Yeah. Now we did July.
The contract is signed. Parliament don't approve. Parliament.
What's it on the operation?
Well, it takes time. We actually got a kickoff meeting today. So it has been approved, but you know, say this now a multi-stakeholder. I wish that NIU no more be there for one. I don't need for consult, I don't need for advice, I don't need for. But because now a multi-sectoral and stakeholder, we have to make sure, say, we have everybody on the table. So we therefore start with the kickoff meeting. First of all, we need to read the agreement and understand what's in the agreement. We're not in a single window, national single window, but what's in everybody in your job, right? Once we get that going, according to the agreement, we should have a pilot by January of 2027. That's what we're working with. Now, mind you, we bring in the national single window, but we also get the Asiguda. So initially, we're going to have a parallel system. You know, we get Asiguda going and we get this new system also going until we figure out what we get for you, whether we collapse the two or we keep the two, you know. So, but the process don't begin. The longest part was forget the agreement. The agreement went to Parliament and we did it within the deadline. Now is the implementation of it, and the implementation, we have the pilot to be done early next year.
Perhaps I'm going to ask you about congestion. You've not been the general manager for Port Authority, but I'll ask you that even with this system, what problem no limits to system, it's also physical space. But no go ask you when that will solve or what will be product, or how that will impact on the actual. Because traders may complain that if they put products now Wataki from Wataki to Wazak, then they pay like 20,000 euros instead of 11,000 euros. And for them, it's hard to make business necessarily. And some business people confide in me in that interview that the business partners in don't move out of this country.
Well, then they're not going to confirm, but I'm not saying confide in me and I'm taking the word for it. We know we cannot get the data, right? I will only get the data, as I said, I look at the data on a quarterly basis. So if I look at the containers that we come in the first quarter, and I compare that to the second quarter, if there's a decrease, then wait till it's in that too. Because we assess based on the number of containers. So if there's a decrease in containers, maybe within that business was to talk, it's likely. But I just come back to the single window. You know, the mentality of the typical Sierra Leone, right? They're left for work out with paper. Take the paper, go here, whatever that means. Also the mentality of the staff. They sit don't wait for the paper because they notice they be in that paper. If we automate, fully and effectively automate with systems, I know they say the running around of the paper will end, but it will be minimized. Because we say, I will give you an example. There are other places where we don't get experience, like Mauritius. One time I go Mauritius water key, the own version of water key. You know, they see any time you there in your office, you have to clear your container. All you have to do that they can't deliver to you. But we Sierra Leoneans, there's a reason why people go to the port. There's a whole economy at water key.
So you think that people resisted to change?
Of course! You know,
they don't want change.
They don't want change because there's benefit to the status quo. So for me, I really appeal to the media and I also appeal to the general body. Make we accept this national single window when it can. Because if we cry, say things are difficult because of the way things are happening, then sometimes change is good. If we automate the single window and it works, it will make everybody's lives. So until then, we'll just continue to complain. Very optimistic. You know, I'm very optimistic saying if everybody works as a team, you know, we will get this done.
Now that they implement the Finance Act.
Now we implement.
Yes. And about the plot game with regard to the Finance Act, it talks about the issue of manifest for publication in 7 days before the container of consignment arrived. But listening to the Director General for the Ports and Harbour Authority for one of the sister radio, they talk about the impossibility of that. What are the impossibility that this manifesto will be published for ensure say traders aim to track them goods them with the camera water and ensure say them clear them on time, not for applicants demortgage.
And for me, that particular provision in the Finance Act, I strongly support. We at the NRA, we strongly support them because the demurrage, the money where business will be paying demurrage, I only wish that to the NRA will pay that because there's a lot of now. So what was it done for do the Finance Act? We said, okay, we'll give them 7 days. But then in any situation where you don't put a law, when the thing come now for implement, then you will not say, then you will realize, I'm not going to consider this, I'm not going to consider this. I'll give you a practical example. Many a times when, I don't know if you don't bring container, but when you bring container, when you tracker, it will tell you, say, initially, it will tell you, say, it will take 7 days.
Maybe I'll ask me producer, if you don't.
Yeah, maybe, yeah, for find out. Yeah, they will tell you, say, they take 5 days for come. They will tell you, say, then a time drain. Then you look them up, and then you realize, say, it could take another couple of days for making. So it's a plan, right? The trick of the container is a plan. So what was done? And say 7 days, and we begin to implement them. And the shippers and say, it's not possible. Because one puts the manifest into the system, and then the container not arrive, or it arrives after 8 days, and then you have to go and change it. So what's in until we, and it's practical, is that at least when I give you 50 hours for make the container, 50 hours for make input of make the container in Canada. So when we look at that and we saw that was practical. What we are doing now at the National Revenue Authority is to monitor, to make sure, say, when it's in our 50 hours, they actually stay within the 50 hours. And then also, I don't hear this say sometimes with these agents, even if when they can get the manifest, then they delay. We don't see, I don't work with agents then. I know sometimes they also have a problem. Then they go around and do things to just make sure, say, things are delayed, so they will able to get more money from their clients then. So as when they talk to we, as government officials, they also need to be cautious. Because I have had experiences where they do things deliberately, just for making them get demurrage approved.
But I think the system gave you that. If the system is correct, the system is okay. If it goes to me,
do it.
So
that's why the national single window is important. If we have it automated, you're not going to play with that. But now because it's a paper form, right? Then they first of all fake some papers, and they do what they want for do. But if it is automated, once it goes into the system, for making change, you need supervision or you need approval.
You sound very optimistic about this. Now, one way Salon be done since 2014.
And well, Salon has been talking about it since 2014.
Yes,
2014. They don't begin for top water, but they have not really. So now there's that political leadership, and then of course from the NRA and the Ministry of Finance side, there's that leadership for get it done. That's why we have an agreement. We have been talking about it as a country since 2014. We know one time, we have to do and we have for leader. And I'm not saying the argument, we have for leader, but NRA the leader now. And that had to be legislated. We didn't have to have that legislated. Clearly, an NRA for a leader. But we could not agree amongst ourselves.
When will this come from?
Well, until they pilot in January, with me at the helm, just rest assured. Because I believe, say, with automation, our lives will be much, much different with this.
I'll take you back to 2025 when you talk about the revenue shortfall by 25%. And clearly, the Minister of Finance.
Revenue shortfall?
Yes. The Minister of Finance delivered public statement about the President's disappointment with revenue performance directed to customs. Remember these actions. What are you going to address them, challenge and concerns?
Yeah, I don't remember that. Maybe I was not paying attention. To say so revenue shortfall by 25%?
Yes.
Was that maybe the first quarter of 2025?
2025, the first quarter.
Yeah. So 2025, first quarter of 2025, a lot was happening at that time. It was during that time when we realized that there was diversion in our system. We able to get the data in our system. But we don't do a whole lot. But remember, Usa, we ended up the year, we surpassed the target for 2025. It may have started rough, but so at the end of the year, we did well. We rebounded.
What's going to do now for the remaining months then of the year for ensuring we reach the targets?
So we get 6 months, or we get 5 more months, right? Because July done. And we also therefore be mindful that this is not rainy season, right? Which side we can get with GST, the entertainment, hospitality, that need to decrease. But we they continue for implement the Finance Act. Just like what I tell you, there are some measures then where we have not either fully implemented or we not begin for implementing it. So we're going to focus on that. We're also going to focus on the implementation of the reforms then. One of the things that we don't cause pain a little bit, but it will be better in the end. We don't automate how businesses that they get the tax clearance certificate. Now, prior to the automation of that, any business will just go now with office, now ECOWAS Street, talk to somebody, and then give them the tax clearance certificate. But now you therefore go into the system. If you are tax compliant, that means say you don't get any amount outstanding, you will print your certificate easily. So we don't realize say there are some challenges, people that they can't tell me, we get this, we get that. So we'll continue to implement that, and we hope say revenue will come out of that. We are also, as I tell you in the beginning, we get to the SNT retreat. which normally what we do at the retreat, we come together, look at our strategic plan, look at our operational plan, and then look at the targets, see how everything that we need to do for make sure, say, we improve compliance, so we'll bring in more money. So the next 5 months, we just continue to push and push harder, and make sure, say, we are going to surpass the target. I'm very sure.
What's in money for strengthening revenue collection and for block the linkages?
Automation, blocking of leakages, and automation of our systems. Because just like what I don't tell you, I mean, we can forget, say, NRA is part of Salone. NRA is a microcosm of Sierra Leone, where, human beings are not perfect. If you put somebody, and it's how we get more money, collect money, there's a challenge there. So we are going to continue with the automation of our systems. We are going to continue with the implementation of the Finance Act. We are going to continue with capacity building for we staff them, especially with the new systems and the single window with the income in, and then to just make sure that we continue to provide, the board will continue to provide good governance for make we continue to do what we do. But it's not easy, especially because of the rains. But with the hope, say, the last quarter, the fourth quarter is usually Usai and can get most of our revenue. That's why, as I said, the revenue is broken down. Revenue collection is broken down into quarterly figures, and normally the first, the second, the fourth quarter are usually the highest.
As soon as they implement or wait for the single window come to force, we think one team the institution for ensure say we digitize the system and ensure say we keep the revenue growth and the tax collection as it is.
The only side where we get few challenge the Asikuda. Asikuda, as I said again, with all the challenges that we get, we're not quite fixing it. And what I mean fixing, we were in the process of upgrading it, so it will be performed to optimize, operation. But so because of the national single window coming, we don't want to invest in that for the time being until we see how the national single window work. But we'll continue doing what we're doing. I mean, whatever we did for the first half of the year is what we're going to continue to do, and then we'll put in more pressure, we'll put in more work, we'll put in asking for more collaboration, because the revenue model is not only from the taxpayers. Remember, I said we work with other NDAs and we're working very well with the Ministry of Lands, so much so that we supported them a few weeks ago. We buy them, laptop them, for help them raise revenue. So revenue work not to NRA no more. Every citizen is part of the revenue mobilization. If you go on customs and then you're supposed to pay this and somebody tells you, I will give you discount, pay that, you're part of the problem. Because if you know that this is a bill of payment, that's okay. Or let's just say you just pay your fair share. So now we're all really responsible for revenue mobilization. We are just in
the program question time will come to you from the Society for Renewed Democracy. 19.1 FM in Peace Tuesday. When we need to talk to the Commissioner General for the National Revenue Authority. We'll look at the work of the NRA and how far the long role in implementing the Finance Act and other things that we happen the NRA. We'll talk about the systems, but at the end of the day, you can meet with colleagues. We talk about Mauritius recently, when you go, or last year. What are some of the regional collaborations, what are the partnerships that we NRA for improve our young work?
So the NRA and revenue mobilization partnership and collaboration very important. So on the regional level, we're working very closely with ECOWAS. Because ECOWAS, they support we a lot. They were even here, I think, a couple of weeks back with some kind of training. So we start them, there is supposed to be other things there. One big support with the Kiwi and now a regional system, they call them SIGMAT. What's in SIGMAT they do is ECOWAS, they install on servers and a system where they track transit. So let's say, for example, a container comes from Guinea. So once we input it into Asikuda through the SIGMAT, it make Guinea know, say, there is a container coming from Sierra Leone to Guinea, and these are the contents. Now, I know say you don't hear a lot about transit, whereby some business people then believe say what's in the happening at port of congestion is partly as a result of the volumes in transit we don't increase. Personally, I don't believe so, and I know that for sure because transit's not a legal regime. Other countries have been doing, and we are all supposed to do it. It's just the management of it for make sure so there's no delay passport. So SIGMAT is one system we ECOWAS don't put in place, and I think it's managed by the team with the Ivory Coast. So we are by as the container come to the system, they monitor and say when you reach Balamoya or you reach Gendema, the other country will pick them up from there. So this is how we are working with ECOWAS amongst other things in the support. We also then work with the West African Tax Administration Forum. We also have a regional body with the support revenue institutions. Then last year we hosted them, and about 16 or so countries can see how we do things, how we collaborate, because we all know say the development partners and the money we get from them, they don't really do. So we therefore rely on this. Domestic revenue mobilization is the way to go. So we work as a team with WhatsApp. We are also working on a continental with African ATAC, African Tax Administration Forum. And on that forum, of course, I'm playing a very important and impressive leadership role. I'm the chair for the Women in Tax Administration, which is run by ATAC. So we work, and there's a lot of capacity building where we get from ATAC, WhatsApp, and even ECOWAS. So all of this capacity building is as a result to make sure, say, we staff and get the right training. They are aware of the right law and the new law and the new systems. A lot of conversation has been had around AI, and the way we do things, instead of doing it manual, use AI for do and analyze our data. So there's a lot of collaboration going on within the region, within the continent, and even globally to help support the national.
With these collaborations, Yusuf mentioned, say, business people always want say, because Guinea, they pass them containers them to the ports of Freetown, maybe congestion. But at the end of the day, somebody will ask, what is Salon the gain from that transshipment to Salon Key in terms of tax or in terms of revenue?
So the transit, we cannot tax really a fee. We not collect taxes on transit, and just 2.5% of the value of putting inside the container that we get. But mind you, I just want to make family know, say we said they get transit. Things and they come up from Guinea come to we of Liberia. So vice versa, because it's a regime that happens all over the world for customs. We know they get much money because of revenue. But because of the volume, between the 2.5% of a lot is a lot. But again, not just the relationship, because we said they get from them. And we don't see Motukade the commodity pass on Liberia. We don't get a lot of cases when that happen. So it's just a relationship building thing. They get much money out of it, but not a tax really collect, that fee on the transit.
You earlier, you start to make mention of support from development partners, key, World Bank, and IMF. How they support the internet in terms of pushing the revenue space?
So I can tell you for free, since we don't become CG from 2024, the support always they come towards the end of the year. When I can see them, because every time we then give this award, they do a press release. So mind you therefore give me money, or you therefore feed me, right? So you wait for us after we don't one go. I don't feed me said throughout the year. Then in November, December, you can't feed me. You feed I will gain weight, or now you small, so the support they come, they are strong partners, because it's not only the money we give you, there's so many other things here. But for the last 3 years, the support they come towards the end of the year. And then say with that support they come with a lot of restrictions. A lot of, like for we NRA, there's a lot of things that we have to do, including this single window. the implementation of a single window. If you see, the World Bank is part of making sure that we get that done. But the support they can, but usually they can. So now the effort who would they do? I mean, me know years because something don't hear. For the last 8 years, the salaries and what they pay, they come from the domestic revenue we mobilize. And again, complaining it for salaries. If anything, especially in December, you can manage for extra say the salaries are paid. So all of that is coming from the efforts from NRE reporting.
Paying salaries through borrowing or ways and means according to the Minister of Finance. You think that's something you say?
We are not borrowing. It's not to borrow. If I don't know what's in but it's, how do you call it? It's free financing. Give me now and I will give you at the end of the month.
And that's sustainable.
Eventually it should not be, but that's why we need to make sure we increase our domestic revenue from mobilization. So just make account. As long as it's paid, and you make sure that it's paid towards the end of the month. Otherwise, we should not really use that. So the free finance and
Now you make mention of AIDS. We don't see US we can give the biggest support in the world. Arguably, don't withdraw most of the support they really give, and the world over the shit we really give. I think the IMF World Bank supports to Salon we have been reduced from $100 million to $40 million, and they don't give any allocation for 2025. You think the NRE they in position for filling gaps of these aid shortfalls?
We have been doing it. We did it in 2025. You don't just give the data. Imagine going from 100 to 60, and it's dwindling, right? We have been doing it. We don't do it last week. We did it in 2024. Are we filling the gap? We did it in 2025. Are we filling the gap? And we're doing it again in 2026. And we get a strong conviction that potential for supporting itself domestically, using domestic revenue for our mobilization. We ain't one. We just need to work as a team, close the linkages that we don't talk about, make sure that change, bottom line, very difficult for change. Because as you fix the other one is following. So if we really work as a team, make sure we automate our systems, if not 100%, but appreciably for make sure we lock. It's doable. We have been doing it. And I think
leakages
leakages will always be there.
Who said the leakages?
No, leakages, well, it's the world. The leakages are always there. People will try to always bypass. That's just human nature.
And if I can quote a colleague journalist, Thomas Dixon, he said the president's been promised saying block the leakages, the banana drainage that are open, and he make reference to NRA case with the ACC, the NRA staff and case with the ACC, and lot more. And then I ask you, do you believe say or you convince the leakages that they block at all?
Yes. Yes, the leakages we are blocking and the reforms them. I mean, things used to be worse. Yeah, things used to be bad.
Bad. Who said you don't block?
Or not. Right now, the domestic tax department, a manual they do. They do the filing manual. Somebody go file where you can even find the documents. But now it's in the system, you find it. Right?
But why every now and then the Anti-Corruption Commission, they investigate NRA staff, then we talk about billions and billions of euros.
Then I don't foresee the data. I'm not sure about that.
But you don't follow NRA this. Then just one news.
Yes, you get a report on it. You don't report?
Yes.
You don't read that. I don't give it in for a week. But I'm not saying there was no mention of billions missing, and then there was no mention of Abu. I don't know who signed on Abu that billions, but in the report, the version we get, there is no mention of billions missing.
No money missing at the end of the day. We need to follow the news, so we need to follow the issues.
Yeah, but for me, if I follow the issues, if I tell you say billions are missing, right now, if I tell you say that this are raised, when the government they tell you say, we don't raise, we don't bring in about 10 point something billion, believe me, I'm going to show you exactly what I'm in the comments. the sources of it. I will give you the exact data. I know I can't tell you, say, billions are missing, and then I'm not able to tell you what's in our billions. Now, which line, which revenue stream? Now, income tax, GST, now withholding tax. So for somebody just give you that blanket figure without an accurate supporting data, for me, I will wait for the jury report.
We did talk to the ACC commissioner. He make mention, was it in 2025 or 2024, that there is an issue with regards the banks. I'm not sure of the bank now, no one called the banking name, or no one called banking, we're not involved. But the finance say the money where they even consider saying missing, it's more than that.
It gets data, it gets supporting data.
That's from the ACC and the investigates.
Okay, so as long as it gets in supporting data, because just like what they say, you don't go make a blanket saying this is how much was missing. Because for me, any data I give you, I know exactly what's like, and I will support them, right, with documentation. So if it say it was more, how much more, and who said that more they did, who said that more they could what, and who's responsible for it?
Okay.
Right.
Now, let me look at the January arrests. And we'll just make mention of staff that being arrested on allegation of misappropriation of about 300 billion.
Which January? Oh, this January?
Yes.
Again, I just want for, if I'm going back to January, let's not recall, there was a circulation or there's a picture going around, right? Of the arrest? Those were not NRA staff. That picture that was going around.
Not the picture. The picture was AI generated for the
right, but the arrest, there was no arrest.
But somebody was on the run.
Nobody was on the run.
What about Abu?
Abu was not on the run. Yeah, Abu was not on the run. Abu was fired. Abu was on the run for ACC. So they did between here and ACC. We fired
NRA staff.
Well, when
and they see some of the property there.
No. So when ACC got involved, me not consider Abu NRA staff. Now for that I tell you, say if you get a copy of that report, Abu was not mentioned that. So I don't know how ACC they work with Abu, but for me Abu is not our staff. When Abu went on the run, running away from ACC, he was no longer our staff. Once you know can work, because we get this policy where you don't can work 10 days. That means you don't work 10 days.
When I want to work with people on away.
Yeah, but 10 days, you go for 10 days.
So not on a station, you would have disowned.
We dismiss them. We're not the disowned people. We just dismiss. But if you don't work with me, if you left, if you abandon your job, your office for 10 days, the policy say get rid of you, you know. But what's immediate guy for say there was diversion. And I don't come in public, I don't say that. There was diversion, and we found out that there was diversion in the first quarter of 2025, and we put measures in place to remedy that. Which ACC they get in data and in information from, I don't know.
What are the revenue measures they actually want to put in place?
So one of the things that we would put in place, by the way, is the reconciliation of collections. The policies say we reconcile, do a tripartite with the Bank of Sierra Leone and the Accountant General's office. Every quarter, all three of us sit together. Imagine doing a revenue mobilization, you do that every 3 months. A lot of damage would have done. So once we realize that monies were going missing, we do daily reconciliations. Daily, as the end day end. The next following day, you should know exactly how much money came in, which revenue line the money came in, and would have collected and which department. And that has been working effectively whilst we wait for automatory systems. Back then, that was not happening. And then there were so many other things that were happening in our system because we were not regularly monitoring them. And for that, any case that they happened. But now when something happens in 24 hours, you know something is happening or something has happened.
There are sure some people saying the tax or business with the tax rate is safe.
Very much safe with me. Very much safe. And I believe that it would even be safe once we put in the right systems. Yes.
We can look at the projections and the for the future from the NRA, but nobody will shy away from recent developments we get with Salone, with the ports and around Salone in name and international media with regards drugs, trafficking allegations. That in any way gets impacts in our business or our tax mobilization or the operation of the NRA.
You know, say we NRA, waiting we do na the port and for collect government money. And then of course there's some other segment of security, because every now and then, you know, there are contrabands or other security, somebody bring weapons and things like that. But the primary goal is to collect government money. So everything we don't highlight so has no impact on the work that we do. You know, the effect with revenue, you know, the stopping from collecting the revenue. So it has absolutely zero impact on our work.
When I get custom done exactly.
Yes.
Whose role did they play in inspecting some of these products or some of these consignments where they can obtain Salone for ensure say they are free of this unwanted trade or illegal trade materials?
So NRA is one of many other stakeholders within our team for just make sure so everything we don't mention. So our primary goal is money. But then if there are any other issues or things that we need to pay attention to, we will. So like for example, when we inspect the claims, if health, we get the Standard Bureau did it, the Pharmacy Board did it, because we don't have authority on certain things. As I said, our primary goal for bringing money. But then whilst we're doing that, if we see anything that will be harmful to the people of this country, we will raise. I mean, I'm quite sure you've heard many times, we and people they go back and forth. Where we can do your own investigation or where we don't do your own assessment. If there are drugs in the containers, somebody can arrest the guys them. And many a times their job only really is to assess and collect revenue. Also for determining whether this drug is harmful, whether this is whatever. So a lot of times our guys go to OMS.
What's in the future hold for the tax regime?
The future is bright. And the reason why I say that the future is bright, because Salone depends on the National Revenue Authority. You mentioned earlier that our development partners are only giving for club and only giving reduce the support. What did they give? There was a time, even with the National Revenue Authority, where we didn't get the FCDO when I be different at that time. A lot of the reforms are moving na different big support. But money but right now we self that with 3% all we get in support for the Ministry of Finance. Now we do the reforms then. So the future of revenue mobilization is huge, because the government, the people of this country, the services that the people of this country need and desire, now really raise up. So I ask everybody for support me, because the work what they do, just like what they say, we don't get revenue officers all over the place. So they rely on the public for giving intelligence, for giving information. If you see something they happen, not say because I'm only working at NRA, I don't care. You should care, because if the NRA staff they embezzle that tax way they pay, they deprive you for the services that you need staff. So the future is bright. We will continue to automate our systems. We'll continue to make sure, say, the integrity of staff is paramount, because if you work with money and you don't get the right integrity, forget it. You know, so for me, we'll continue to provide the services and we'll
Your message to taxpayers and the people of Salone.
The people of Salone, we're also now dealing with our taxpayers. Then the work what they do, and they support me. And I just want to give them the confidence that the money is safe with me, is safe with all of them within an NRA. And if anybody they interfere with making sure that they don't even provide or do their business the way they need for money, a lot of them can always call me, they contact me, and every information you have that's actually. So I just want to make them know, say, let them continue for doing what they need for doing, because it's their civic responsibility but it's also their right to make sure they demand from the NRA to get the right services that they need to do what they need to do.
Plenty thank you for joining this exhibition of the program. Well, at this edition of the program Question Time go left for today. Plenty thank you to the studio guests, we the Commissioner General, we don't take it time for talk to some people about the tax regime, setting the future and what's the future for the tax regime now starting with Madam Chanpa Pangura. Thank you for joining me and plenty thank you to the team, the producer Chelo Chalo, and also to Pangura for the see them Facebook. So it's then it's a conversation of the bye.
More education, all they grow. Youth man, wasting time. Youth man, wasting time. If we learn for ask questions for things them where they happen now in sweet nation. You name the resources. Waiting them from benefits this nation from independence to